I owned a lot of cool cars and everyday cars all for free. I own this and this and this and this and many more all for free. In this video, I want to show you how with my latest buy that I bought in Las Vegas and drove all the way to Washington State. And at the end of the video, I will share all of the numbers and how much money I made on it. Let's go.
It is incredibly hot here in Vegas. I've never been to anything above 105 degrees, and it is above. I just don't understand how locals do it. What a cool city, what a horrible weather.
Okay, I'm out of Las Vegas heat, finally. My camera even was acting up. It wouldn't record because it was over 110 degrees. It was just awful. So I'm in Utah right now. I love traveling through Utah and then Idaho as well. So basically you get to enjoy the drive and get paid for it. But I'll give you more details just in a second. So, I'm in Utah. I've been doing this for basically since I moved here, road tripping and traveling for free. But lately, since I joined Ryan Pineda and his community, I've been doing this consistently now this is my 4th time doing it. So every conference that I attended, which was in January, April, May, and then just now in July, I've been doing this and it's been paying for the whole conference trip and making me money along the way as well. So basically, I'm making money to attend these conferences, which is amazing. But another great reason, which I think even more important personally for me, is that after these conferences, you want to have some thinking time. You want to have some time of soaking in all of the knowledge, all of the experience that you just had attending these high-level conferences, meeting these high-level people, and just have time on your own to think, to evaluate, to set new goals, to literally just digest the knowledge you just received, right? Because going back immediately to the reality that you came from right before you attended the event, I think is pretty tough, and it just shakes you back to reality too quick, and now you don't really have a time to really set any goals, evaluate, and observe really. Without having this thinking time, I think going back to reality immediately, I don't think it's really productive. So I've been doing this and I've been really enjoying it. Driving back home, which, not home in this case anymore, but driving again, being on my own for a couple of days, enjoying the beautiful scenic views and just having thinking time is tremendously important in my opinion. And that's those two reasons why I'm doing this, and it's working out pretty nice. Okay, I just made it to Washington. I'm back in Spokane. So anyway, why specifically I chose this car to drive back from Las Vegas? Well, certain regions of the US actually have certain cars that are more popular among people in those regions. Specifically in inland Northwest here, Subarus are best-selling cars. Nationwide, the best-selling car in the US is the Ford F-150. No one can beat that in nationwide numbers. But here it is Subaru Outback. In Las Vegas, however, it is not. Subarus only make all-wheel drive cars. They don't make front-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive, so that's why, not popular in Las Vegas, because it never snows there. People are not into outdoorsy lifestyle. People don't off-road. People don't hike as much. Here in Northwest, it's totally the opposite situation. Everyone into off-roading, everyone into hiking and biking, going to the mountains, enjoying lake days and skiing and snowboarding. It's just incredibly popular. And Subarus are well known and they're built for outdoorsy lifestyle. So that's why Subarus, and specifically Outbacks, because Subaru only make 4 models, I believe, but Outbacks are the most popular models in Subaru lineup. Okay, let me give you a little tour of it. Okay, just a station wagon, nothing fancy, nothing special. It is fancy though, somewhat, because it has all leather interior. It has a pretty big panoramic sunroof here, right? Has heated seats as well, and has SDI package, which adds a little more value. Subaru people are obsessed with all of the Subaru packages, and specifically special thing about this thing that because it's station wagon, it has more value. If this thing was a sedan, it would probably sell for 20-25% less than the station wagon version of it. And then these things, the rail racks, are obviously add value. So yeah, it's just a simple car, just because it's all-wheel drive and the way Subaru position itself on the car market. These things are incredibly popular here in the Northwest. So now I want to answer some general questions that have been receiving throughout the years of doing this kind of thing. So how I came up with it, right? And how do I know when the car is a good deal or not, and all of that. So how did I come up with it? Well, back when I moved to the US, so I lived in Wallace, Idaho, which if you want to check out the tour of my little American hometown, here's the link. It's going to be somewhere here or here, the card link for it. But anyway, when I moved from Wallace, Idaho to San Diego, in San Diego, I met a guy who was flying to Montana, South, North Dakota, Idaho. He would find a Volkswagen bus, a vintage Volkswagen bus from 70s, 80s. He would find them in those northern states. Mostly older people would have those in pretty good shape, at least mechanically, so you can fly there, pick them up, and drive them back to San Diego. So that was pre-COVID. It was in 2017 when I met him. So what he would do, find those, fly in, pick them up, and drive back to San Diego, and then resell them in San Diego. In San Diego, those cars are incredibly popular. They're even more popular now. They shot up in value like crazy. But at the time, he gave me the real number because when I met him, he was driving that little Volkswagen bus. So he would find those deals for around $10,000 to $15,000 and then drive them back to San Diego, maybe clean them up a little bit, polish them, nothing crazy as far as the investment goes. And then he would resell them for $25,000, $30,000, which is insane. You're just, spend maybe 4 days finding, flying, and driving back, and then you're making $10,000, $15,000 on the exit, which to me was mind-boggling. So now those same vintage Volkswagen buses, if they're in a good running shape, they're going for $40,000, $50,000, $60,000. Just absolutely insane. So anyway, he at the time told me that he would do that once, maybe twice a month, and then he doesn't have to work, he doesn't have to worry about the money. And the van life thing was not as popular. You could find those kind of deals. So nowadays, obviously, everyone knows that those Volkswagen buses are incredibly popular. So you're not gonna be able to find a bus like that, in a good running shape for $10,000, $15,000. It's just not the case anymore. So anyway, I met the guy and I'm like, I can do that as well probably, but with just regular cars. So I started doing just that. In San Diego, I would find cars like that, or older Jeeps, or all-wheel drive Toyota Highlanders, or Nissan Muranos, anything that is all-wheel drive, which is pretty tough to find in Southern California or any southern states, because even trucks and Jeep Grand Cherokees and all those 4x4 cars here in the northern states like Washington, Idaho, they're all two-wheel drives back in San Diego or LA or Phoenix or Las Vegas. It's just so weird. Anyway, I remember it was a 2006 Subaru Legacy, which the sedan version of this exact car. I found a great example. It was a one-owner car, 2006. It only had 76,000 miles on it. Still remember because it was my very first one. I bought it for $2,600. One owner, 76,000 miles, and I drove it to Washington State and then sold it literally within few hours, by the time I got to the first guy, he messaged me about it. So what I did, a day before I got to Washington, I took pictures, I cleaned it, I took pictures, wrote a description, listed it on Craigslist, and immediately within a couple hours I got a response, and I scheduled a showing for very next day. So I had probably a couple hours before I had a meeting with the guy, and cleaned the car, prepared it again. So I sold it for $5,200. Literally, I made double of what I paid for the car, and that was a proof of concept for me. So I made $2,600 within literally 2 days of road tripping to Washington. I enjoyed it, obviously, and then I flew back to San Diego, and I did that a couple more times, and then I moved to Washington State. And what I found out that in Washington State, rear-wheel drive cars have no popularity. You're not going to be able to, sell a two-wheel drive truck or 4Runner or BMW X5. They're supposed to be all-wheel drive, but they are popular down south because they don't have no snow, right? So when I moved to Washington, I started looking for rear-wheel drive sportier cars like 3 Series BMW or 5 Series or Mercedes, everything that is rear-wheel drive and have less value here. So I would do the opposite. I would drive to LA or San Diego. I've done it twice. I'm not gonna say I have done it a lot of times just because I live in Washington, right? And it worked the opposite way as well. So now when I go travel to southern states or enjoy San Diego, LA, Dallas, I've done it all. I flew to Dallas, I flew to Miami, I was in Miami twice, and I did the same thing. Dallas, San Diego multiple times, LA a lot of times, Phoenix a lot of times, Las Vegas this year alone I've done it already 3 times. So I find the same cars like Subarus, Nissan Muranos, Toyotas, 4Runners, Highlanders, anything that is popular when it comes to outdoorsy lifestyle and the snow situation. I drive them back to Washington, sell them immediately, and people love that these cars haven't been exposed to the snow because there's no rust usually, right? And that's why it's pretty easy to sell them here for 25, 30, 40% margin. So doing just that, I was able to travel to 25 different states. Exploring the US this way for me have been not just fun, but also financially made sense as well, because everything that I was doing road tripping would pay for itself by the time I get back home to Washington and sell the car. Speaking of selling, now let's get back to this car and run the numbers. I'm gonna show you exactly how much it cost me to buy this thing, how much it cost me to fuel up to get to Washington from Las Vegas, the hotel expenses, the food, literally everything that it cost me to get it here. And then once I sell it, I'll show you how much money I made on it, which I hope will happen in the next 24 hours. All right, that was unexpected and very quick. I just sold the car. It's actually leaving right there. Anyway, now I actually have the concrete number for how much I sold it for. It is the listing price. So now let's go and do the numbers. I'll show you and share everything that I have on this specific deal. Okay, I have my computer here with all of the numbers. So let's go over it. So the WealthCon trip to Vegas. This is my latest deal with the car that I just sold. Anyway, so car itself cost me $4,900. It was listed at $68. So I was able to negotiate about 30% of it, which is great. I love doing that. Anyway, and then total, as you see, all of it here, including the gas, the hotel stay. I only had to stay 1 night, which is great. And then parking at the Mirage for 2-day event, right? And then there's another parking here. Then total for gas is $156.52. This is pretty good from Las Vegas to Spokane, Washington, where I'm at. It's about between 1,200 to 1,300 miles, and it cost me only $156.52. This is pretty good. I was probably getting about 30 miles per gallon. So anyway, including everything, the airfare back to Las Vegas, which I'm flying tomorrow, cost me $264.34. So I included literally everything that is associated with this trip, and every expense is in here. So grand total expenses is $5,496.28. Then I sold the car for $7,300. So the total profit, pure profit, is $1,803.72. This is pretty good. So you can do the same thing with everything that I mentioned in this video. You can also travel for free. You can buy these cars and enjoy them for whatever amount of time. Usually my mark is about 6 to 12 months. I had my personal cars that way. I bought cars for my Turo business. I've been a Turo host for almost 4 years. I became the highest rated Turo host in my area in Spokane, Washington. So I bought cars the same way to have them on my Turo business for monthly cash flow. I had cars for my personal use, and I had cars just to travel here and there. And when I sell them, that would pay for all of the expenses along the way. You can totally do the same thing by implementing the things I mentioned in this video. And if you have any questions, please let me know in the comment section. And if you got any value in this video, please let me know again in the comment section. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I want to thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.